Well, hello, and thanks for watching another episode of News of the Pews, where you can count on unapologetic 2A advocacy. Gun rights are human rights. Hey, remember a few days ago when I told you the boomer fuds at the NRA kinda sorta seemed to defend the feds killing that guy in Minneapolis by saying, "For months, radical progressives like Tim Walz have incited violence against law enforcement officers who are simply trying to do their jobs."
That accent is terrible.
Well, it turns out somebody at the NRA realized it's not a great look for gun rights groups to appear to be simping for the feds, or at least it suddenly occurred to them how that could impact donations. So they pushed out a milquetoast statement on X saying, "The NRA unequivocally believes that all law-abiding citizens have a right to keep and bear arms anywhere they have a legal right to be," which is obviously an oblique reference to President Trump's opinion that you can only enjoy one right at a time, that you cannot exercise your right to bear arms and your right to free speech at the same time.
He said, you can't have guns, you can't walk in with guns.
What about the Second Amendment?
Listen, you can't walk in with guns, you can't do that, but it's just a very unfortunate incident.
What about the Second Amendment, sir?
Now, I would have liked to see them address him more directly, but frankly, I'm surprised they were even willing to go this far. And I couldn't help but notice they're still throwing around that FUD-coded law-abiding bullshit. I am sick of hearing that phrase. Who the hell is law-abiding these days anyway? Even if you actually cared about ATF's fickle opinions, normal people couldn't possibly keep up with thousands of protean statutes. And why should we? It's not like they can enforce their ridiculous infringements. So no, we are not law-abiding. We are peaceable. For now.
I don't want to be scared anymore.
Farming, really? Man of your talents? It's a peaceful life.
Is it really worth the price? I pay it gladly.
But hey, it would be impossible for us to produce quality 2A propaganda without you. So if you are in a comfortable place in life, please help us stay in a comfortable place in life by contributing to our tip jars down there in the doobly-doo or by joining our channel. If you're not in a comfortable place, please remember that you don't owe us a thing. Just enjoy this 2A propaganda at the price of free 99 and continue to pray for us. A 3-judge panel of the Fifth Circuit just ruled that tweakers can have guns. More specifically, they decided the federal ban on felons possessing guns is unconstitutional as applied to a man who was convicted of simple possession of methamphetamine in 2018. Not that you asked, but I think we'd have a lot less violent crime and substance abuse for that matter if all drugs were legal, so long as we lock up people who get caught doing drugs in public, to include alcohol, and require them to do substance abuse treatment. That model has been highly effective in European countries, and places like Portland and Seattle failed because they only did the first part and let people keep smoking drugs at bus stops and shitting on the sidewalk.
Not what is important right now.
This channel is about gun rights though, not recreational chemistry. The important thing is that meth is illegal and possession is a felony, but every time the courts run into one of these cases, they seem to find the ban on felon in possession to be unconstitutional as applied. As you gentle folk know, as applied means it only applies in this one particular case, but if it seems to be that way in every case, then maybe the law is facially unconstitutional. It's also interesting because SCOTUS will be hearing arguments from the Himani case soon, which also came from the Fifth Circuit, and this time involves firearm possession by someone who is also in possession of some jazz cabbage. Speaking of the devil's lettuce, there's trouble brewing in Colorado where the governor and the attorney general can't seem to agree about whether potheads should be allowed to have guns. The governor, who you may know from such hits as red flag laws, raising the age to buy a gun, and a ban on most semi-auto firearms, uncharacteristically supported gun rights for weed smokers with this post on X saying, "There is no reason that someone should be banned from exercising their Second Amendment right simply because they use marijuana, especially when that logic is not being applied in the same way to other substances such as alcohol." I couldn't agree more, but at the same time, Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser just filed an amicus brief in that Himani case I just mentioned, in which he argues that pot needles are like super dangerous. In the brief, Weiser argues, first, the Fifth Circuit's reasoning is based in part on the premise that habitual drug users present a public safety risk only while actively intoxicated. Habitual drug use can cause some individuals to experience chronic psychological disturbances that affect their conduct and decision-making in a manner that compromises their ability to safely handle firearms. Well, that statement is true when taken on its own. Do I need to remind you we're talking about weed here, not PCP? And that statement also holds true when you substitute alcohol, prescription drugs, or even just a stressful event. Shall we ban everyone from driving if they were ever prescribed a psychoactive medication? Should people be banned from operating heavy equipment if they were ever the victim of a violent attack or chronic abuse? How did we get to this point where we infringe on fundamental rights based solely on speculation about what somebody might do if some other hypothetical condition was met? That's not how the law is supposed to work in a free country.
It's a free country.
It's a free country. It's not rent-free country.
We don't start from the premise that all is verboten unless it is explicitly permitted. We start from the premise that all men are created equal and endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable human rights, and that government should not restrict the actions of the people except to the extent where their actions infringe the rights of others. My man TJ said it best. Rightful liberty is unobstructed action according to our will within the limits drawn around us by the equal rights of others. I do not add within the limits of the law because law is often but the tyrant's will and always so when it violates the right of an individual. West Virginia just introduced HB 4926, which would kick into effect if the NFA or GCA ever bite the dust. See, like many states, West Virginia has state laws which mirror some of the prohibitions in federal law. But if the NFA or GCA were to be repealed or struck down in court, then those provisions would also be removed from West Virginia statute under this proposal. And West Virginia is also considering whether to pass HB 4931, which bans firearm registries and not just at the state level. The way this reads, it prohibits ATF agents from creating or maintaining a list of gun owners, and any person can sue to enforce it. So whether or not you live in West Virginia, stop what you're doing right now and call 304-347-4836 and tell those crusty old politicrators to pass HB 4926 and HB 4931. And finally, original flavor Virginia is going quite the opposite direction with SB 27, which seems to be designed to circumvent the protections afforded for gun makers and sellers by the Protection and Lawful Commerce of Arms Act. It makes gun makers and sellers civilly responsible for preventing straw sales and theft, and also links the Virginian statutes on consumer protection so that gun businesses can be sued for public nuisance. So call 804-698-1770 and tell 1 or 10 of their politicrators to stop SB 27. Well, folks, round's complete on 2. But before I go, your moment of completion. I love you.
Today, I am letting my intrusive thoughts win. Nail, shotgun, nail. First, we're gonna put a nail right there to hold the shotgun shell. All right, we got our shotgun mounted up securely. See if I can get it first try. Got it. Nailed it.